Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Build America podcast, the podcast that is capturing and sharing the very heartbeat of the construction industry and also design, engineering, and technology. And that segue brings us to today's topic, which is definitely within the sweet spot of technology. We are here today with Shiva Dhawan. He is the co founder and CEO of Attentive AI, and he's going to talk to us today and lend his expertise on the subject of too busy to bid. And I think a lot of folks that are in pre construction and in construction management and owners reps and the like are going to really find this episode resonating with them, as well as owners and developers. And that's the whole paradox of more and more bid opportunities, really decent ones coming in, design, build, and hard bid. And companies just saying, hey, we don't have the time. We are swamped building projects and bidding on other things and just missing a lot of opportunities that maybe they could be taking advantage of. So, without further ado, I want to turn that question and that topic over to our guest on this episode, which is Shiva Dhawan, co founder and CEO of Attentive AI. And Shiva, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Kerry.
Tell us a little bit about Attentive just to get us started. How long you've been in existence and when you launched this technology? Would love a little background on you.
Sure. So, Kerry, Attentive AI has been in business for 5 years. We initially started working with landscaping contractors in 2021. So, this was COVID, and we had encountered a few landscaping contractors who were missing out on bids. They didn't have enough time to bid properly, and spoke to a few estimators at these companies. They were swamped with the bids, spending weekends doing their bids. And I felt that after speaking to them, I felt like this was a very important problem that we can solve, especially with AI, improve the work life experience and not just the estimators' work life experience from the owner's perspective as well. They can bid on more projects that they are right now missing on. So, yeah, so the journey really started with landscaping, and then 2023, including HVAC, plumbing, concrete rebar, mechanical, electrical. So right now we do all 16 trades in construction. We work with general contractors as well as subcontractors. We help them bid faster, bid more, and help them get their time back.
Well, what a wonderful mission, and makes total sense to me as someone who interviews daily folks, everything from the electrical and mechanical specialty subcontractor you speak of, all the way up to the general contractor. But I wondered, what's that a symptom of? I noticed a survey that said between 40 and 50% of contractors and subcontractors frequently turn down new project invitations or reject bids due to a lack of time or estimating capacity or just being overbooked. So, is this what you're seeing not only in the US, but globally as well?
Yeah, and it's a symptom of a few things. One, obviously there is a lot of demand, but I think two, if you look at the age brackets of the estimators as well, about 30% of them are in the 50 years plus age bracket. So a lot of the labor force is also retiring, and there is a shortage of labor here. And if you look at the work that they are supposed to do during a bid cycle, it's very time consuming. Like, if a machine can do that work, okay, great, you can do a lot more work. But if a human has to do that work, it's very, very time consuming. And you probably need like two, three estimators to really bid on a lot of jobs. And that's what the industry doesn't have. It has a huge labor shortage. So that's where we come in. We sort of solve this demand problem as well as this labor shortage problem by using AI and just cutting down the bid cycle, because the most time consuming part in the bid cycle is actually doing that takeoff, which is converting the plan set into a bill of materials. And that process has traditionally been very, very time consuming. And that's where, AI is making a lot of headway. It's saving on time. It's saving on, people working weekends. Hopefully with our AI technology, more young people would want to join the construction industry and become estimators instead of just people retiring.
So many important topics in there. We'll do our best to unpack those. Thank you for bringing those to the fore, Shiva. So, first, I don't know if there's a typical bid, but let's walk through a larger project, say 20 to 50 million, looking at what they're doing now, estimate or break down the manual nature of the process now. What has been done prior to the advances of AI in this process? What are those 2 to 3 estimators having to do, and what could they be doing instead?
See, the way right now the bid cycle works, or before our product it used to work, was that they used to get the plan set as part of the RFP packet, and instead of directly preparing the estimate, they first have to do the takeoff, which is basically mapping out all the quantities in the plan set. And that's not an easy task at all. Like, for example, if it's a concrete job, then they have to measure the tons of the volume of concrete that is needed, and it's not at all easy. You have to process the plans, you have to go through the plan set, understand the scope. And this takes a couple of weeks for a $20 million job. So for the first couple of weeks, they are just measuring the plan set and converting it into a bill of material. And post that, they start the process of calculating the dollar estimate, calculating the labor hours, and then preparing the bid document. So when we come in their lives, we say, hey, you don't have to spend 2 weeks doing that bill of material work. You just spend 2 to 3 days, upload the plan set on our platform. 2 to 3 days later, you'll get the bill of materials, and you spend another 2 to 3 days and prepare the estimate and the bid document. So that cycle of 2 weeks has been cut down to 5 to 6 days, and they're able to bid on more jobs. They're not missing out on bids. Earlier, they used to say, hey, this is too big of a bid. I don't have the time to do it. And they were like, hey, forget about it. I'm not even bidding here. So now they completely hand over the bill of material and takeoff part to us. We do the heavy lifting, and they just have to work on the final dollar estimate and the final bid document.
Oh, you walked through that so well for people too that aren't in the midst of it. That is amazing to me on several levels. First, you are not holding up 2 to 3 human beings working on one takeoff, mapping out all those quantities and joining with the plan set for 2 to 3 weeks. It's 5 or 6 days. That seems like the cost too of those who you are employing to do that takeoff work, they can be on to bidding other projects. That seems like from the people and the labor shortage, we all know, as you acutely pointed out, that number one is amazing to me, just the energy that they can be spending on the next project. And two, I would think the accuracy, speak to the accuracy of AI with regard to mapping out those quantities as opposed to maybe human estimates or human error.
Yeah. No, that's a huge point, the accuracy point, because like if you're constantly swamped with bits, then you will get measurements wrong. And if you're doing that completely all the time, 24/7, then your brain will have certain brain fog. So you will get measurements wrong. So this is where we come in, and we have a very unique solution in the sense that it's not a pure AI solution. We have quantity surveyors on our end who do the quality assurance as well. These are quality assurance folks sitting in India, and they go through every detail and make sure that the final output that is sent to the customer is 99.9% accurate. And that's why a lot of our customers trust us, because they are able to feed those numbers directly into the bid, and they don't have to spend time correcting those numbers and double checking those numbers. So the accuracy point is huge, and it's absolutely paramount for our customers, which are the general contractors and the subcontractors.
I think that's excellent what you mentioned because, like you said, just the exhaustion rate of burning out people that are trying to make all this happen manually. And you touched on what I was going to ask you next, which I think is huge, especially in the construction industry that's not always known for being a aggressive adopter of technology. There's that trust factor. And I love what you mentioned. Would love to hear more from you on 99.9% degree confidence that those numbers are being vetted, that AI is creating. That seems like such an integral part of you explaining your mission and getting people to that first project or that first takeoff to trust you with that. Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. So, a funny story. Initially, when we had started out, we started out with an AI only solution, and the outputs that we sent to our customers were not verified by a human in the loop, and they were like, "Hey, like, these are not accurate. We still have to go into them, spend time seeing them, verifying them." And that's when, after hit and trial, we realized that this is something we can't do. We need to have a human in the loop here, because customers trust outcomes. And right now we are also living in the outcomes era. There are companies who are essentially replacing work. Software, people are saying software is dead. I don't think software is dead, but like there is the outcomes era that is coming in where people are doing in work. And the major benefit there is that you can trust the outcome, whereas with software, you still have to go in and do your own work, right? And that's what people don't have the time to do. So we pivoted our solution from an AI only solution to a AI plus human in the loop solution so that we can provide that 99.9% accuracy that people really need. And they started trusting the system more. And we were actually one of the first players to do that. That made us stood out in the market. And yeah, since then it's been great. We have 1,200 customers across US and Canada, and a large part of our success goes into this fact that we provide the AI plus human in the loop full stack solution.
Love that. I love that. And I know you may not want to share specific clients, which is fine, but in the United States, for example, that's our purview. Are they companies that do heavy highway, vertical construction? What specialty contractors, trade unions, who are you working with a lot these days?
So we work a lot with specialty contractors who do commercial work. So like data centers, hospitals, schools, strip malls, hotels. We also work with certain government contractors as well. We have done highway projects as well. But I would say our sweet spot is commercial construction.
You hit on a buzzword that a lot of us hear at a lot of conferences these days, and that's data centers and the speed at which they come together. I attended a session at the AGC in Orlando, and a gentleman from Amazon Web Services talked about that it's equal to or faster than pharmaceutical. And that kind of rang a bell with me because the rate at which they build clean rooms to manufacture new drugs seems like by the time even the expedited construction's done, they don't need the space anymore because they're on to the next R&D project. So when you talked about that, I bet you those in hospitals and other super expedited projects, why would they not want to leverage technology?
Absolutely. The data centers rise has really helped us, I would say, in terms of the macro push, because like I've seen construction companies who are meeting their revenue targets just by doing one data center project. And that's it. It's not like the other demand doesn't exist, but data centers as a macro has really pushed us in the right direction as well.
In terms of technology overall, and forgive me because I'm not a techie, you talked about Attentive AI really focusing on the takeoff portion of the bid cycle. And I wondered if there are um, other areas of pre-construction and bidding or even beyond bidding that you are working on possibly expanding the technology to also save construction companies time. For example, you mentioned shortening the time from 2 weeks to 5 or 6 days on the takeoff portion. And I wondered if either within the bidding process or within some other area of construction that you're looking to save clients time, or if you're pretty much solely focused on bid takeoffs.
We have launched another product recently where we are also cutting down the time to generate the building information models. So they are called BIM, and they are essentially a 2D to plan to a 3D conversion, which is usually done after the project is won. This is also extremely time consuming. And we have also entered into this space. We are reducing time. It's still early days for us, but we are seeing extremely good traction with some of our existing customers. So BIM is going to be the next frontier for us after takeoffs, in which we'll reduce a lot of time.
It must be exciting for you as you can leverage this technology and your processes to meet specialty subs right where they are and contractors for you to directly meet them where they're at. If I'm a specialty subcontractor and this removes my biggest choke point of bidding, the sky's the limit. I mean, they must feel like, wow, what were we rejecting in terms of bids because we just didn't have capacity? What do you hear from them in terms of, my goodness, now we can also consider XYZ, or are they looking at other sectors or just being able to accept more bid opportunities than they ever thought they would?
Absolutely, absolutely, Gary. And the most ambitious folks that we have met are extremely happy with our solution because this is removing the bottleneck. They're able to bid on a lot more projects. They're expanding their top of the funnel. They're expanding their areas of work. The only thing that now one needs to solve after this is the labor part of it in terms of the actual execution of the work. So that's what the most ambitious folks are doing, like focusing on the execution, the project execution, and letting Attentive do all the heavy lifting for them from a bid standpoint.
Wow. That's true because at the end of the day, that's what all our companies in and out of construction industry are dealing with is not having enough people. So I could see where what you do liberates them and allows them to have the energy and the focus to work on that perhaps most challenging piece. We've been talking today with Shiva Dhawan, and he is CEO and co-founder at Attentive AI. And if you are not familiar with Attentive AI, how can people get in touch with you and learn more? Because I bet there are companies listening that would love to be bidding on more projects. How can they reach you, Shiva?
I think a lot of people in the construction industry know us by Beam AI because that's the name of the product. So it's like OpenAI is Attentive AI and ChatGPT is Beam AI. So ChatGPT is the product and Beam AI is the product. You can log on to our website www.ibeam.ai and just sign up for a demo. It just takes 2 weeks to set up the Beam AI product within your construction company, and it's fairly plug and play.
Perfect. We'll do that. And I know that's where I met your colleagues at a conference, but then I did experience the demo, and it's pretty amazing. It's where the rubber meets the road in terms of you really are doing what you say you will do for very overworked and frustrated bid operations with inside subs and general contractors. And we're so glad, Shiva, that you joined us today. Shiva Dhawan, CEO and co-founder at Attentive AI. And I really hope you'll come back on soon.
Yeah, great to meet you, Kerry.